write a simple class in Apex. So far we have seen, all the programming snippets we used to write in the anonymous window, all the business logics, whatever the size may be, we are used to write it in the anonymous window. Today we are going to write everything into an Apex class. So before start the class, I will be initially going through the concepts now. Okay, so here plenty of things needs to be understand. So I will give you a chance for doubts like that. Once a particular slide or couple of slides completed, you can note it down. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, you have noted down your doubts, and once I said you can go for your doubts, we can clarify that. Okay, so that's if we take it in that way, people might not frustrated when so many queries happening in the middle. Okay, so I'm planning to do in that way today. Okay, generally programming in the sense it can be classified into two different types of programming. One is called procedural programming and the other one is called object-oriented programming. Mute yourselves. If you have any queries, you can unmute and you can go for it. Thanks. Okay, so procedural programming and object-oriented programming. What is mean by procedural programming? Procedural programming in the sense a program that contains one or many functions. You can able to see in your screen. Let's say this is a program. A program may contain one or more many functions. Okay, one or more functions. Let's say f is the function. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 functions in this program. Okay, let's split it a little bit down. What is mean by a function? Function is a set of instruction. Let's say you want to add two numbers. What you will be giving? X is equal to x plus y, or z is equal to x plus y. Sum is equal to a plus b. So that is what your instruction. So a function can contain a set of instruction, and at the same time it can contain data. Okay, your business logic will run on top of the data. Let's say sum of two numbers. What is mean by data? If you are giving x plus y, in the sense x and y are considered as data. Okay, so that's how a program may be classified. So a program may be classified into two ways. One is procedural and another one is object oriented. In procedural oriented programming, you will be having functions. What is meant by functions? The set of instructions and the data will be reside inside your functions. Okay, whatever you want to execute as a part of your program, you will be having it inside your functions. Let's say in this example, I'm going to declare a variable x is equal to 10 and x is equal to x plus 2. So I wanted to increase the value of x by 2. In this two line snippet, x is the data. Okay, x plus 2 is my instruction. At the end of the day, if you call, if you are going to create a function, in the sense this function will contain these two lines. One is data and another one is the set of instruction I wanted to execute. You will wrap these two lines inside a function. So that is called procedural oriented programming. Okay, and the other one, that is the object oriented programming. Okay, you can easily compare. In the first slide, you can able to see that all are f, that is functions. In object oriented programming, okay, instead of f there is a c is there. C in the sense it's a class. In object oriented programming, the wrapper in the sense the wrapper will be the covering all your functionalities, all your business logic and the data. The wrapper here, it's called as a class. Okay, so inside the class you will be having your functions and data. Sorry. Okay, so here if you have a look at it, functions and data only available with your procedural programming. If you go for object oriented programming, that is also wrapped inside another wrapper called class. So class is a collection of functions and data. So that is what object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming has its own features. It have encapsulation, abstraction, so many features available with object-oriented programming. I don't want to get into those things initial class itself. Just to understand, just have a feel what is mean by object, what is mean by function, what is mean by data, what is a class, how to write a class, how to call a function, and after that we can go for different kinds of features of object-oriented programming. So object-oriented programming is mainly consist of a class. The class will contains functions, and functions will operate on top of the data. A program can contain one or many classes. Okay, how a class will be defined? Okay, that's what we are going into the next slide. See here, object-oriented programming is a methodology or a way of designing your program. Okay, as I told you earlier, you can write a program in terms of object-oriented programming concept, in the sense that will be dealing with classes and objects. So if you are going to write a program in OOPS, in the sense immediately there will be a class will be there. Okay, to use that class you will be writing object. Okay, so please careful with the jargons. First, what is mean by class? As I told earlier, it's a wrapper which contains related functions and properties grouped as a unit. Let's have a look at this example. Now there is a car. Okay, there is a generic class called car. This car class contains properties. A car can have a color, a car can have a make, a car can have a model. So generally car is a class. Okay, so to represent a different make and model cars, I don't need to write all the classes again. Just I need to create an instance for this class. Okay, that is called object. Instance, in the sense I need to make use of this car object. If you want to make use of a class, you will be creating objects. Let's say this is a green car, make is Ford. In the sense, I will be creating object for this class, and in that object I will be storing my car's color, make and model. You are coming with your car model with the Toyota. So instead of writing the class, what you will be doing, already there is a class called car exist. It contains its own data and function. I'm going to make use of it. Okay, so how I will make use of it? Using an instance, that is called object. Now I am going to create an instance for my to store my car features and functionalities. I will be storing color as red, I will be storing make as a Toyota, I will be storing the model, so I can able to store the features, everything. And all the cars will have the functionality start. Okay, when you call the function start, it will start the car, stop, move. These all are the functions, set of instructions. Okay, these instructions will be available with all the cars. This first instance, second instance, third instance, all the instances will have this functionality, but all these instances will have its own properties. Okay, see here, a class is a collection of properties and methods. Methods will be common for all the objects, and properties, you can make use of the same property values, or you can override the properties. Override the properties in the sense you can store your own properties also. Otherwise it's a no meaning, right? When you are going to write a car class, everyone should have the same data and same functionality. In the sense, there is no use. Functionalities will be common, but the data you are going to manipulate will be different, right? So that's the future of object oriented programming. It used to group functions, and it used to group the functionalities of data which is similar to a particular feature. Let's say you are going to write a program to manipulate or to to do the to store the information of a student. Okay, let's say a student may be a male, or student may be a female, student may be from your final year, student may be from third year, second year. Okay, so let's say you are going to write a class for a department. Okay, sorry, for a department. The department, there may be CSE, computer science department, there may be an electrical science department. So to store these values, you will be creating objects, that is instance. So generally speaking, To sum up all the things, object-oriented programming, you will be hearing these things. Class. What is mean by class? A class will have its own properties, or it can be called as a data. A class will have functions. These functions are otherwise called as methods. What these functions will have? These functions will have set of instructions. These functions will have set of instructions. How you will use the class in your program? By creating objects, you can be able to make use of your class. Otherwise, just writing a class will not helpful, right? You have to make use of the class. How you will be using the class? By creating an instance. Okay, how many instances can be created? You can create n number of instances for objects. Why you need to create n number of instances? Because each instance may have its own properties. So that's why you're creating more instances. So ultimately, a class will make you to write a reusable code. You are writing once, you are making use of the same code for different properties. Okay, so that is what the power of object oriented. When you are going for this kind of designing a program, security and those things will be comes into the picture. Okay, so those concepts also covered with object oriented programming. As of now, we are not touching those things in this class. So have any doubts here?
Yes, sir. Mithun here, sir. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, please.
For example, you said car class, right?
Yes.
A car class can be an app,
Mhm.
and car objects can be a different kinds of objects. And the records are nothing but the green, Ford,
Yes,
Mustang, and gasoline because they are like separated.
yes, 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 you're correct. This is the data you will be operating. You can have your own data. I wanted to create an I wanted to create and manipulate my record. I can create a class for car and I can store my own data. Okay, so code reusability comes here. Writing once, use anywhere you want. Okay, so if you don't have any other doubts in the sense, I will move on how to write it.
Can you please explain what does instance mean?
Yeah, let's say we have written a class, right? Okay, so writing a class alone will not helpful to you. You have to make use of the class. How you will make use of this class? You will be writing an instance. Simply speaking, let's say x. What is meant by x? X is a variable. Okay, x is a variable. The same x, in object-oriented programming context, this is called as instance. Okay, you can call it as a variable also. Variable for a class. That is called instance.
Okay.
It's something like placeholder which holds the data.
Here, how you will call x? X is a variable used to store value 10, right? In the same way, in object-oriented programming, x will be called as an object which will store a reference of your class.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll straight away jump into anonymous window and write a simple class. It will give you more picture on that.
So here I can assume that integer would be class, right, Nagarajan? Because that
Yes,
is
yes.
given by
Integer, yeah, integer is a primitive data type which is already written. You can write your own data type that is called class. You are absolutely right. You can take it in that way also.
Yeah, so it will be easy then. Yeah.
Let me try to write a simple class. So far we have written all our programmings in the anonymous window. Okay. Actually, in real time, anonymous window will be used by the developers to see the intermediate results. That's it. When you call it as an entire application, the anonymous window will be nowhere in the picture. Okay. So as a beginning stage, we are using it. Let me draw a simple diagram and I will explain you a little bit more if possible. Okay, let's say this is your Apex class. Okay, so this is your Apex class. You are going to write an Apex class. This is your Apex class. This is your user interface. These all are your user interfaces. These all are your user interfaces. Let's say there is a text box, okay, and there is a button also there. Let's say there is a button. There is a button. Okay. So in the similar way, all the UIs will have boxes, input boxes, and they have their own buttons also. Let me quickly complete this. Okay. So this is also having a text box and another UI. This is also having a text box and this is having a button. Okay. This will give you a clear picture where the Apex class will be used. Okay. And the next part is, you need to have your own databases, right? So let me simply draw like this. Sorry. This is what, your Salesforce data. So you can call it as your objects. Okay. Your objects are going to be resides here. Okay. This is standard object or custom object, whatever may be, your objects going to reside here. Okay. All your objects are there. Let's say account object. You can call account object. Okay. Your account object going to be reside in the database. Okay, fine. So this one, you can consider this is a, this is a VF page. You can call it as a Visual Force page. Okay. Or you can call it, it may be a screen flow. Okay. Let's consider this is a screen flow. You have created a screen flow and this is, your LWC component or Aura component, whatever it may be. Okay. So these all are the user interfaces. Let's say when I'm going to type, some, a name here, and after clicking this button, I wanted to get all the, related records from the account objects. If that is the case, how you will be constructing your application? You will be creating your user interface. When the user clicks this particular button, what you will be doing is you will be calling your Apex class. Okay, you will be calling your Apex class. What your Apex class will do, your Apex class will contact your object, okay, running the SOQL query. If it matches the records, it will take it back and it will pass it back to the user interface, and you will be having the list of accounts in your screen. So this is what the functionality of a Apex class. Here you will be calling it as controller. Here we will be calling it as a controller. So what is the purpose of writing an Apex class? Your Apex class will generally, behave as a controller, okay, between your user interface and your objects. Okay, it will be getting the data from the user and it will be passing it to the objects, and it will be retrieving the data and sending it back to the UI. The same case will happen with the flows also. In the flow screen, someone want to type the account ID and they want to get the account information. In the sense, what will happen? Automatically your data will be passed to the Apex class. Your Apex class will again communicate back to the your objects, retrieve the data, and it will be sending the information back to the user. Same thing with LWCs also, auras also. So your Apex class is really a heart of your application. It will be, capturing the information and, dealing all kind of your business logics and pass it to the, UIs that will render the data in your screen. So this is how your application will work. Here, can you able to see any anonymous window here? There will not be any anonymous window here. Okay, only Apex class is there. To test this Apex class, what you will be doing is you will be going for your anonymous window. You will be going for your anonymous window. Okay, and here you will be testing your Apex classes as a developer. As a developer, once you tested the Apex class, it's working fine. You will be integrating with your, UI components. Okay, so that is how the development will goes. Okay, so let me clear my developer console. I'm going to, sorry, my anonymous window. I'm going to write a simple class. How to write a simple class in Salesforce? File, new, you have to create Apex class. Okay, I need to write an Apex class. Hello Apex, that is what my class. So the best practice when you are going to write a Apex class name, always starts with first letter caps. Hello Apex. So that's my class name. Okay, I'm clicking OK. So it will create a class for you. See here, a class gets created for you. It's just a wrapper. Okay, nothing else is there. So when you are going to write a simple class, in the sense a class gets created. Okay, as of now, there is no functions, there is no data. So a class can contain function and data. It's no mandatory, it's not a mandatory that you should have both the things in your class, but you should have at least one function, right? Something needs to be executed, right? I'm going to write a simple function. I'm going to write a simple function called welcome, welcome function. I have to write a simple function called welcome function. How you can write a function? Initially, it will start with public. Okay, so this public is called as scope. I will explain it shortly. This public is called as scope. How you will write a function? Public. Okay, then you can go for void. Okay, and then function name. My function name is display. So I'm going to write a function like this, display. Let me save this program. Okay, so once you are going to save the program will get compiled. If the program contains any errors, immediately all the errors will be displayed here. Let me remove this brace, and once I remove the brace, when I try to change something in the program, automatically at the top you are able to see that there is a asterisk star is there. It means that this program modified. Okay, it gives an indication that this program gets modified. Now I need to save this. Okay, so I cannot save this program because see here in the problems, there is a tab called problems, right? In the tab, I can able to see that at line number 12, I'm having some issue expecting curly braces, but was double quotes, something it is telling. That is a brace, curly brace is missing. I am now going to do the curly brace here. Okay, the program will get updated. Now, once you are trying to save the program, see there at the top, saving. It will try to save it into the server. Okay. So once it is done, it's fine. You are ready to go. Okay. So this is what a function is all about. I will explain this step by step. What is mean by void? What is mean by display? Display is the name of the function. This is the scope. This is called a return type. This is called function name. So how a function will looks like? A function will have scope. This is the syntax, scope, and then the return type, and then you will be having function and name. This is what the syntax. Okay, so inside that, what I want to execute, simply just I want to print a welcome message in the screen. So I'm going to give system.debug. I'm going to give hi, welcome to Apex. So that's what my statement. That's it. My class is ready. Simple class is ready. Okay. Suppose you are going to, you are going to welcome your user in the screen. What you can do, no need to write class for this. Okay. Because already there is a class called hello Apex is written. It contains a function called display, which will, display the welcome message in the screen. So this is called code reusability. Now the class is ready. Will you get the output? No. So let me go to the picture again. The class is ready. Just writing the class will not do any purpose, right? Because this class needs to be executed. This class needs to be called. Then only you will get the output. See here, when the user clicks the button, a request goes to the class. How a request will goes to the class? Because here they will be, having the code. They will be writing an object or instance for the class and calling the functionalities. Same thing we are going to do here also. We have a class, but the class is there, right? Nothing happened. Now I am going to do it. Currently, we don't have any user interface, right? So that's why I'm going to use my anonymous window. See here, now my entire business logic is in the class. Nothing is here in the anonymous window. Just I'm going to call this class. Since I don't have any user interface, I am in the development stage. I'm going to make use of my anonymous window to execute this, class. How you will execute the class? Let's come to the slide. Okay. So you need to have an object or instance of a class. Now see, this class is ready. Now you have to access this class. To access this class, what you need? You need object of a class. Okay, that is called instance of a class. You can call up hello Apex as a data type also. You can consider hello Apex as an integer also. Okay, for this, what you will be doing? You will be declaring a variable, right? So in the similar way, for hello Apex, I'm going to create an object. How you can write an object for a class? Okay, first class name. What is the class name? Hello is the class name. Hello Apex is the class name. You need to create object. Okay, object in the sense the naming convention, people try to write like this: object for which class? Hello Apex. This is one of the best practice. I'm going to create an object for class hello Apex is equal to new. New in the sense you are allocating memory for your class. So new, and the class name. What is my class name? Hello Apex is my class name. So I'm giving it. So let me write the syntax. So the syntax is class name and then object, okay, is equal to new, and then you have to go for class name. Okay, then you have to go for class name. Okay, so there may be confusion. So whether I have to give like this obj hello Apex? No, you can write like this also. Okay, simply you can write like this x. So now x is also object. X is called as an object. X is an instance of hello Apex. Obj hello Apex is called as an object. That is also an instance of hello Apex. See here, I have two objects here. Okay, if someone wants, their own data to be operated in the sense, you can create one more instance. What you will be doing? Just changing the variable name. Variable name is called, in object-oriented programming context, it is called as, instance or object. Generally speaking, from a layman perspective, if you look into this program, this is called, this is called a variable, or this is called a data type. Can consider this. Class is also simply a data type, but which contains its own data and functions. That's it. Okay, but because of the object oriented terminology, you should use the correct technical terms. So that's why you are calling it as this is a class, this is an instance or object. You are telling like this. In your program you have 3 copies of hello Apex class. Okay, 3 instances of hello Apex class. Let me have only one. Okay, now I have an object. Using this object or instance, you can access the functions inside your Apex class. Hello Apex is a class. It contains a method or function called display. Now I'm going to use it. How you will be accessing it? Object name dot, you will be accessing the method. When you are going to call a method or function, you should use open bracket, close bracket. Okay, just simple. So first step, you have created the object for your class. Second step, using that object dot notation, you are calling a method. Okay, so wherever possible, if you are going to see a dot notation, in the sense in the left hand side there is an object, you are going to access the member of that particular object. The member may be a variable or the member may be a method or function. Let's execute this program and see whether we are getting the output or not. Let me execute this program. Debug only. Yeah. Hi, welcome to Apex. I could able to see the program. I could be able to see the output in my screen. Hi, welcome to Apex. So let me close this log. Let me remove this, function calling. I'm going to execute my code. My code gets executed. Okay, let me go for debug only. Nothing in my screen. Okay, because you have created object for the class. That alone will not solve the purpose. Okay, using the object, what you have to do? You have to call the methods. Then only the methods will execute, and your business logic will executing. Okay, so this is how you can write a simple Apex class, and you can have objects for your Apex class. You can call the functions using that objects. Any doubts in this particular
Can't
simple?
I use system.debug here?
Here
Yes.
in the anonymous window, if you are
Yes,
going to
yes.
write a system.debug here, in the sense there is no purpose of having this class, right? You can use the system.debug here. It will print. The purpose of this particular code snippet is we are going to write a
No.
class.
Like what I am saying is instead of obj hello apex, I can take x as a object and I would write system.debug x.
Currently, we don't have any X here, right?
Okay. Here I am taking instead of obj hello apex object name, no?
This is the object name. Okay, if you are a little bit confused in the sense, get rid of this. This is called object. You have created object for your class called hello apex. So inside the class, you have only one method. There is no variables, nothing exists. Only one method exists here. So you are going to access it.
What he's asking is system.debug of that object. Will that print hi welcome to Apex? That's what his question.
Exactly.
No.
System.debug of object.
See here, please let me answer for this. Whether it will print, what will be the output, these kinds of things, you can try your anonymous window, because these all are the different kinds of possibilities, you are trying with that. The experiments you are going to try with that, first you stick on, what I am explaining. You are saying that if I am giving system.debug obj, will it, print, right? Actually, see here, what is the purpose of system.debug? System.debug is to print something. Already system.debug is there, right, inside the class. Now your main aim should be just calling this display function will make it. Okay, why you need to go for one more system.debug? Still I am explaining. If you are going for system.debug and you are going to give the object, in the sense, what is mean by obj? It's an object. Okay, obj will not alone call your system.debug method, this particular display method. If that is the case, you can simply give like this, right? Okay, to execute any function inside your class, you have to make use of your object using dot notation, and you have to go for the method. Okay.
And I have one thing. How this anonymous window is connected with this particular Apex class?
Because you are creating object for the class, right?
Suppose if we are creating another on Apex class, that will also be carried out here, right?
Yes, definitely. Behind the scene, just only, hello Apex classes, you can able to see in the screen. There may be hundreds of classes might be there inside my Salesforce. Previously, I might have written hundreds of classes. Still, I can use those classes. So the takeaway point here is how you can access a class. For a class, you will be creating an object. That is the step one. Step two, using that object, you can able to access your functions. Okay. So let me go for your variables. Currently, you have only one, functionality, that is a function inside this, right? So let me try.
One
Yes.
small doubt. How many functions can in a class we can write how many functions?
Yeah, these all are the things you can, figure it out. Okay. To be frank, if you ask me now, I can say that, you can write a number of functions. It depends upon your functionality. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Depend upon your business requirement. Okay.
Okay.
So some of the things, we can try our own. So those things I request you to try your own. Okay. Let me try to declare a simple variable right over here. Okay. Let me explain this concept and then we will go for the doubts. Okay. So let me try to declare a variable here. I'm going to declare a variable called public integer x. Okay. Integer x is equal to, I'm going to declare as 100 here. Okay. Let me save the program. It is saving. Still you can able to see it is saving. So sometimes these Apex classes, while saving, it will take a little bit time. So meanwhile, let me open my anonymous window. Still it is in saving. Yeah, it's saved. Okay, now it's saved. Now see, I'm going to use system.debug. Okay, I'm coming to the previous one. System.debug. I want to print x value, okay, outside my Apex class. Okay, this is an anonymous window. This is outside the Apex class. I want to access this x outside the Apex class. What I can do is system.debug. I cannot simply give x, because where is x? X is my data that is inside my hello Apex. For that hello apex, I have created an object called obj. So using obj, I'm going to access my variable x here. Okay, let me execute and see whether I can able to get system.debug x, the output here. Let me go for debug only. See 100 here. Okay, I can able to see the output 100 here. What happens? I have created object. Using that object, I am accessing x. What is the x value? X is 100, so I can able to get the value here. Okay, so this is how you can able to access your methods outside as well as your data outside. Okay, the functionality which provides you the feature is because of this public scope. Okay, so that is called public scope. Let me get rid of this public. I'm going to give it as a private. Okay, I'm going to give it as a private. Let me save this program. The same code I'm going to execute again. Let me save this program. It's saving.
So can I assume, Naras, can I assume that saving itself is a compilation?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah.
So let me, it saved. Okay, so what happened? Yeah, now let me execute the program. I'm trying to execute the program. See there is a runtime error. Variable is not visible. Hello apex.x. So it says that there is no such variable called x. Okay, so previously we were able to get the output as 100, right? So currently there is an abstraction happening. There is an abstraction. Okay, so you are providing a security for your data. Okay, you are telling that my data can be accessed only inside the class. My data should not be accessed outside the class. If that is the case, you can make use of the scope private here. Okay, if it is a private, in the sense no one can access it outside the class. Okay, so if this is the scenario, how you can able to make your x available for the functionalities, in the sense I'm telling that if you want to use my x, use it inside the function. Okay, if that is the case, how I can overcome this scenario is, instead of accessing it outside, I'm going to use it here. Okay, so I'm going to here x is equal to x. Okay, this is one way, x is equal to x. Otherwise, to display the x value, I'm going to write one more function. The function is going to be public. It's void. I'm going to use it as a display x. Okay, display x. This is what my function. I'm going to use system.debug. System.debug. I'm going to use x is equal to plus x. Okay, in this particular class you have two methods. One is display and another one is display x. Okay, so what is the purpose of using display? You can call it as a display message also. Display message and display x, these two are different functionalities. Let me quickly jump onto the slide. See here, start, that is a functionality. Stop, that is a functionality. So start is a function, stop is a function. Similar way, in my Apex class, I want to display something in the screen. So for that purpose, I am using a display message method. Okay. In the meanwhile, I need to enable the user to access my class inside, inside my Apex class only. For that, I'm writing a method called display x. What is the purpose of this particular method display x? It will print the value of x in the screen. So now I have two methods in my Apex class. So the class is, it's a wrapper around your data and your functions. Okay. So now object.x will not work because it is in private. Okay, for that purpose, using the object, I'm going to call this method called display x here. I'm going to call the method display x here. Now I'm going to execute my program. Let's see. Yes, display message, right? Sorry, no, it's correct only. Display x, it's saved. What is the error? It says method does not exist. Debug void. Debug void. Okay, sorry, because this method will not return any value, so I have to call like this. Sorry. So object dot, I need to call this method. So I'm going to create an object. Using the object, I'm going to call this method display x. Let me execute and see. I will explain that error message also, why it happened, display void like that. Debug only. Now you can able to see x is equal to 100. There is no system.debug here in the anonymous window. Okay, still you are able to get the x value 100 because you had a public method right over there as display x, and inside that public method you are accessing your data x because it's a private, so you are using it. If it is a public, in the sense no need of having this method, you can directly access that method outside your class. I will not say anonymous window, I will say as outside your class, because it may be a VF page, it may be your Aura component or whatever it may be. So that's why I'm telling that outside the Apex class, if you want to access something, it should be public scope. Okay, if you want to restrict, you want to have an abstraction on your method, or if you want to have an abstraction on your variables, you have to declare it as a private. Is it possible to have a class as private? If you are having a class as a private, in the sense, no point of writing a class, right? So this is the difference you should understand. Any doubts, you can go for it now.
And functions can be private.
Sorry?
Functions we can write as private scope.
Yeah, functions you can write as a private. At that point of time, you have to call that function from another public. Some entry point should be there. Let's say we are building a house. There is no door. Okay, so you will not get inside, right? So there should be at least one door. For other doors, you can have keys. Okay, these keys will be inside, the security. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
This is the building blocks. If you understood this particular, how to write a class, how to write a method, how to pass the data, what is meant by public, private, in the sense, you can learn any object-oriented programming language. You can do your own, Apex classes. You will be easily doing the built-in classes also. You will have an idea. Math.mod, you are calling math.mod. What is meant by math? What is meant by mod? Okay, so those things will be pretty much clear with you.
Could we give return type as void in private after private?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to call this method display x, right?
Yeah.
So the return type, in the sense, this function will execute line number 11. That's it. It will not going to take any value back to the called line, right? Line number 6 is the calling line, right? This is going to call this display x. So when coming back after executing this line number 11, when coming back to the anonymous window, line number 6, it will come with empty hand. It will not bring anything back. Okay, so that's why it's void. Void in the sense nothing. Okay, so I will go for the return types one next. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
If we declare without public or private, what it will be considered?
Yeah, that's a good question. By default, it will be private. Let me get rid of this. Okay, I'm not going to specify any scope, public, private, nothing. I'm going to specify it here. Let me straight away access this. Okay, because this is a variable, so I'm going to print just no need to print debug. Just you can go like this, object.x. Let's see, whether it is giving any compilation error or not. See here, variable is not visible. So private or doesn't have any private will not make any difference. By default, if you haven't specified any scope, it will be private.
Okay. Thank you.
This may vary from languages to programming languages to other languages. If you go for C, C++, by default, it may be public. Okay. So in Apex, if you haven't specified any scope, by default, it will be private. So far we have returned a class, and we had tried with having a method inside the class. We had tried with data inside the class, and we tried with public and private. Okay, so next thing is a special method called a static method. Okay, a special method called a static method. Let me write this particular display method. Okay, I'm going to write one more method. I'm going to write one more method. Public static display y. Public static display y. Okay, I'm going to write one more variable y here. So for that, I'm going to have y. So just I'm going to copy and paste here. I'm going to have y. let's say y value is 500. This is
Change
a,
it to small y.
yeah, I will change it here. Okay, fine. Okay, let's see. Okay, variable does not exist. Why?
We can give void main.
No, actually, in other programming languages, you have void main. That's a entry point. Here, there is no such entry point will be there. No default methods will be there.
Thank you.
In C, C++ and Java, you'll be going for void main and public static void main string arguments in Java, and there is no nothing like that. Okay.
It's not saved, I guess.
Yes, it's trying to save, but some issues there.
There is an error in 16th line.
15th
Yeah.
line.
Yes.
Display Y. Display Y is in uppercase.
That
Line
is
number
fine.
15.
Yeah, that is why this is a method, right? So it can be small and uppercase, that doesn't matter. So let me get rid of this. Let me try to save this. Okay, fine. Now it's getting saved, right? Okay. Instead of, there is a technical issues there. I will explain you why it created some issue. Okay, actually, if it is a static in the sense, this variable also should be static. Okay, so I will explain that concept next. So instead of going for displaying the variable, okay, let me display this string here, and after that I will display y. Okay, definitely I will display y. I will explain that concept also. So this is from a static method. I'm giving a system.debug from a static method. Okay, fine. Let me save this program. So I have two methods. One is display. This is not a static method. Display y is a static method. What is the difference between static and non-static method? Let's see. If you are going to have a static method, in the sense you need to create an object, and using the object you can able to access your methods. Suppose if the method is a non-static method, in the sense there is no need to create an object. So it's a static method. Let's say it's a static method or static data, in the sense use class name to access. Okay, what is my class name? My class name is hello apex. So using hello apex, using the class name, now I am trying to access this display y method. Okay, just I'm going to select only that particular line, and I'm going to execute this. Let's see whether this line gets printing or not. It gets executed. I'm going for debug only. Okay, I'm getting from static method. I can able to see from a static method. Okay, I went for execute, I guess. Okay, execute highlighted. Just only that particular line number 16 I will get. Okay, from static method I got the output as from static method. So only this particular line gets executed. See the contradictory thing here. I have created an object or instance. Using that instance, I had called this method. Okay, display x. This method is a static method. So if it is a static method, you can use class name to access it. There is no need to write, object for that particular class. Using class name, you can access it. What is the class name? Hello apex. Then I am going to call display y. The meaning here is, if you are having a static variable or static method, in the sense it's a common for the class. Okay, it's a common for the class. Using class name, anyone can able to access it. Okay, so that is what the difference between static and non-static method. If it is a non-static method, you have to create an object for your class and you can access it. So many peoples in our class, when we are giving the the previous workouts, you have used math.mod, right? You have used math.mod, let's say x comma 2, you had given like this. Now just to compare this syntax, math is definitely a class. Okay, there is no possibility that it will be a function. If it is a function, in the sense definitely there will be a bracket. There is no bracket here, so math is a class. So as for object-oriented programming concept, you are going to access a method inside the class, in the sense you need to create object for the class. But how you are calling this mod? Are you creating object? No, using the class name straight away you are accessing the mod function, right? then how mod function might be returned inside Salesforce? Inside Salesforce, they may have returned a class called max. Inside the math class, they have returned the mod function as static. That's why using class name, you are directly accessing your function. So this is what, the difference between having an ordinary class and having a, having an ordinary method and having a static method. If it is a static method, using class name, you can able to access it. If it is a non-static method, you have to create object for the class and you have to go for it. Any doubts here?
Can we access object.display as well?
No, we can't, I guess, because it's a static method. We have to use
You're
class.
asking like this, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Let me explain. What is that? Static method cannot be referenced from a non-static context. Okay, just to read the things carefully. Static method. Okay, what is meant by static method? Display is a display y is a static method, right? So when you are trying to access a static method from a non-static, okay, so that cannot be accessed from a non-static in the sense. If you are going to access a static method, you have to make use of the class. This is a non-static context. Okay, this anonymous window is now working as a non-static context. That is not possible. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so again, I'm giving, don't mistaken me, I am giving again giving the input that this thing you could have tried in your anonymous window, right? So these all are the areas where you can fine tune yourself by have a try. Nothing going to happen, right? Either it will execute or it will not execute. But at that point of time, you can carefully read the error. What the error it says, that it gives you a lot of messages for you. Okay. Okay, fine. No harm in trying like this. No. Yes, please.
Just we are accessing using object and we are accessing using class name, right? Methods, okay, static and non-static. Whether in any differences of memory allocation or
actually, from a memory allocation point of thing, if you are going to create an object for a class, it will have a separate copy for display X. Let's say you are going to create 5 objects, in the sense these 5 objects will have 5 copy of display X. Okay, so different memories will be allocated. If it is a static, in the sense you are going to create object for the class, in the sense there will be a single memory that will be accessed by the class name. So that's why you using class name, you can able to easily access. There will be only one single memory allocated for static.
okay.
Okay, fine. So this is how you can able to access your methods inside the class. If it is a non-static, you will be creating an object and you will be accessing it. If it is a static, you will be using the class name, you will accessing the things. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next concept. Okay, I'm moving on to my previous thing. That is what I tried initially.
Sorry for the interruption. I have a question.
Let me finish this and I will take your question.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. So I'm going for system.debug. I'm going to print the variable called y. Okay. Okay. See here, y exists. Okay. Y is available inside my class, but still it is giving an error that variable does not exist. Why? Because this is a non-static area. This is a static area. From a static to non-static area, you cannot access directly. Simply to avoid this error, this variable should be now static. Let me try to make it as a static and see whether they are gone. See here. So the point is, this is a static method. From a static method, you can directly access any static variables. Okay. If it is a non-static, okay, if it is a non-static, still you wanted to access the variable y inside a static block, in the sense you have to create object for the class inside the class itself. Okay, I don't want to confuse people a lot at this point of time. Just think in this way. Okay, after going through all the fundamentals, we will play with this. Initially, you think like this. If you want to access, a static variable, in the sense you can access it directly from a static method. Okay, so both should match. Here it is static, here it is static. I can able to directly access. If it is a non-static, I have to go object. That we will see in the next class. Okay, today I don't, in a single day, I don't want to mess it up with all the things. So this is how you can able to create. Now I am trying to call my function object dot or display y. Is it need object dot display y? No, because it's a static method. So just simply I'm going to create object. Sorry, I'm going to use my class name and I'm going to call this. So execute highlighted. I'm going for execute highlighted. Let's see, I can able to get the value of y. Yes, I could be able to get the value of y here. Now it is y is equal to 500. I can able to get that. Okay. So again, summing up the things, you can write a simple class by public class name. Inside the class, you can have variables, you can have methods. The syntax for the methods, it can be public or private, return type, and the function name. Okay. So as far as scope is concerned, you can go for public or private. If it is public, you can access outside your class. If it is a private, only you can access inside the class. Okay. And the second point is a static method. What is meant by static method? If it is a static method using class name, you can able to access it. There is no need to create object for the class. For an example, math.mod, how Salesforce returned this functionality, by their own. Okay, so this is an outcome of static method. Let me go to this slide, and I have a program right over here. Okay, see here, class name. So this is called class name. This message, this is called property or data. Display hello apex, this is called method or function. Okay, let's deep dive into the function. See here, public void display hello apex. This public is called scope, void is called return type, and display hello apex is the function name, and this is the line to be get executed. As I already told, void in the sense nothing. The meaning is nothing. Okay, it will not give you back anything. If you are going to call this function, it will give you an empty hand. Nothing will be given back to you. Okay, this public and private already we seen the scope. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end up today's session. This is the time for your queries. Whatever the queries you want to ask, you can go for it.
Sir, excuse me. As you said, could we give private in function? Private static void.
Sure. I think we tried, right? So let me try once again. No issue with that. Okay, fine. This is your private function. Okay, fine. Yes, please. You wanted to access this display message? Yeah. So it will be the similar outcome of how you did with your private variable, right? When we tried to access integer x, what it said that there is no such variable called x, because outside the apex class, you cannot be access the private things. So still it's a method. I'm going to access it. It's a display message. So I'm going to call this display message. As I already told, these are the things you get able to try by yourself. Okay, I'm trying to execute. It says that method is not visible. Previously, it said that variable not visible. Now it says that method not visible. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because of this private.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other queries?
So in this case, what we can do is simply in the other method, that is display x, I can call the display message.
Yes, absolutely right. Because a lot of beginners there in a single day, I don't want to spread up all the things. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. That's the only way, right? Otherwise, no use of having a private method here, right? See here we had a private variable called integer x. How we by having it private, you cannot access it outside, in the sense how you are going to use it. You are going to use it inside a public method. In the same way, if your function is also private, in the sense how you will make use of this, definitely you will access it from your public method. So this can be considered as a door for your home. You are coming inside. Once you came into the class, you don't have any restriction. You can access anything. Okay, this is your place. Outside the class, this public, private, those are coming into the picture. They will try to restrict you. Any other doubts? Otherwise, we will go for today's program.
Hello, Nagarajan.
Yes, please.
You said we can use a private variables inside the public, right? Then what is the purpose of giving the private variables?
If it is a public, in the sense you may try, there is a chance that you can try to change the data, right? Instead of 100, you can change it into 500 and you can do, some kind of functionalities, right? To avoid that, this is a critical data. I don't want someone who is going to, use it outside and trying to change the data. Just I wanted to, have my own functionalities and I will take care of that data manipulation. If that is the case, you will be go for, private restriction.
When do you decide? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here to answer everyone. You can go for one by one. No issue with that.
Now, when do you decide that when to use static and when not to use static?
If you wanted to have, a variable as a common, let's give you a real-time business scenario. Let's say there is a trigger recursion. Okay, so there is a trigger recursion. A trigger will be called, again and again. Now, if you want to stop it, you will be going for a static variable mechanism. Actually, apart from this, a static is a variable. It will be initialized only once. Okay, it will not initialize each and every time. It will retain its last value. Let's say static integer y. If you are going to change it into 501, in the sense, whoever going to access my class, they will get 501. Okay, it will not again back to y. If it is an ordinary variable, in the sense, if a is going to access it, he will get 500. If he try to change it into 600, in the sense, when b coming to access it, he will still get 500. He will not get 600. Okay, if you wanted to have your variable common for all the users, you can make it as a static.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
We can think it as it's a standard, I mean, a fixed one.
Okay, you can make it as, there is a common area. You can call like that. This is a common area. Okay, whoever can able to access, let's say there is a person called A, there is a person called B, there is a person called C. They can access, whoever can access. It's a common area. If it is an ordinary integer variable, in the sense, you will have individual copy. Okay, you will have individual copies of x, say x. So you will have an individual copies of x, 3 objects, 3x. In static, even though 3 objects, there will be a single x. Okay, it's a common. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
So and if for defining, is it mandatory to define a class as public? I mean, anyway, we are not writing any private class, right?
Yeah, definitely, because when we are going to start writing file new apex, automatically Salesforce is writing it as a public. Actually, if you are having it as a private, in the sense, there is no chance for using it, right? Correct. So this is the wrapper. A wrapper should be always public.
Okay.
So static will
so
be
it should be defined. It won't default. It won't take it as public. It should be defined as public.
Yeah, when you are trying to create itself, Salesforce is creating as a public. You could able to see the syntax.
It is automatically generating.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
Yes, please.
Will be only for variables and methods, not for the classes, is it? Or you can write
yes.
Class type.
Yes.
I mean,
it will be a public class. Inside that, you will be having static methods and static variables.
Okay, because the reason I just want to make all the variables as a static and all the methods as a static. Simply, you can write a class as a static. Then by default,
no, it's not like that.
It's not like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Thanks. Yeah.
Nagarajan, I have understand that the statics. Telling that it's correct or not. Just tell me that statics. If you mentioned that one variable, for example, statics integer y is equal to 500. For example, I can call one method from A. Okay. So I can change the value from the y value. Okay.
Yes.
So again, I can call the function for B. Again, I can call for the y. So in this condition, only the value, the initial we are giving the 500 only, we can show that. It's not for the before the function I'm changing the y from that value, you can't take. That's right.
Actually, if it is a static variable in the sense, let's say you are using hello apex, you are trying to change it into 600, right? So next time when you are using hello apex, if you are going to display the value, you will get 600. Okay, you will not get 500 because you are using the class name, right? If it is an object in the sense, each and every object, these values will be initialized.
Okay, but the statics variable we can't copy from the instance, and the statics variable only can refer by using the class.
Yes. We will see more examples of static, in the upcoming tomorrow's classes. We will see so many examples. Okay. So today, since it is a introduction to OOPS, there may be so many beginners, so they don't.
Only two types.
Sorry?
Only two types of classes is there, sir. Public.
You can have public, private, protected. When you are going for inheritance, those concepts are there. So that's why I told object-oriented programming is not writing a simple class. Data abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, plenty of concepts are there. The beginners will be afraid initially if you told that polymorphism, encapsulation. Okay, so they may get frustrated. So to avoid those frustration, simply in object-oriented programming concept, what is meant by a class, what is meant by a function, what is meant by a variable, how you can access it. If you are strong on that, we can go for step-by-step the encapsulation, we can go for abstraction, we can go for interfaces, inheritance. It's a huge concept.
I see some programs in there is a global class is also.
Yes. Global in the sense, I will explain detail little bit later. Global in the sense, if you are going to use it apart from the namespaces. Okay. So if you want, if I have to explain, global now, I have to refer the namespace here, right? So, so some people may struggle with that. What is meant by namespace? Oh, a lot of things are there. So that's why. So you have global also. Global in the sense, apart from namespaces, it's a universal. Anywhere you can able to access it. Public in the sense, you will access it only inside the namespace. So if that is the case, again comes the next question: what is meant by namespace? It's a separate chapter. We will see that.
Okay.
Yeah. So today's to-do class, I will be available till 8:30. Okay. Any doubts or anything, you can go for it. So in the slide,
can you copy this program, Nagaraj, in the chat? Can you copy this program, whatever you have written on the class?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
So now it's open to session. So no need to write anything in the chat. You can directly ask me anything you want to have. Okay, and this is the this particular PDF is already in the drive. Okay, do it yourself. What all are the things we had learned so far? You can convert it into a class. You can write a method and you can implement. Okay, so this is how ultimately. Yeah.
We don't receive your, that program you have copied on the chat window or somewhere else.
Sometimes it may be to a direct message. I guess yes, it's meant as a direct message. Sorry.
No.
Yes, now you could be able to see this, right?
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Sorry. Yeah.
No problem.
I will be available for 20 more minutes. You can practice the session. You can refer the PDF. You can, play with your Apex classes, and you can do the stuffs, and you can, any queries you can ask, go for it.
And can you explain that third one? I'm not sure what is that one.
Is this your first class? Because previous classes we had given, you have to write a method to deposit, withdraw. We had given a program. Otherwise it's no worries. You have to write a simple class. That simple class will have, a banking operation. Let's say in the bank you may have deposit the amount, you can withdraw the amount, right? So you have to write a simple class. Inside the class you should have two functions. One is for deposit and one is for withdraw. When you are going to call a deposit function, in the sense, it should add the amount to the opening balance and it should display. If you are going for a withdraw, in the sense, it should subtract the amount and it should display. That's what the third program is all about. Okay. Yes, please.
Can you please give a class on today's?
Give the
short class, like whatever we learned today from you.
Yeah, the video will be there. The presentation is already in the folder I uploaded before the class itself. You want the key for this?
No, not about to do. So can you
Okay,
show?
the PDF is there.
Uh,
You can refer the your drive. In the drive you have the PDF. As far as the key is concerned, I plan to give it next day itself. If today I want you to guys to do this program, in the sense I plan to give the key next day, because otherwise we may straight away go to the keys and we try to open it. I could able to see this in the Q&A sessions. People are straight away going into the solution given for the case studies, right? They are trying the hints from there, so it stops us from trying out from our side. Okay, so first give you a try, no hope, then we will go for the keys. Okay, we can take it in that way.
Hello.
Yes,
Nagaraj,
please.
can you please open the code one?
Yeah.
So when we are writing static in our Apex code, so basically we are giving memory to our code, right?
Yes.
And if the method is non-static, we are creating the object. So we
Yes.
are providing memory by creating object, right?
Yes. Yes.
And in line number 5, you have used private static integer y. Okay, because our method is static in line number 15, right?
Yes, from your
So-
static block only you can able to access your static.
Yeah, so-
Otherwise, if it is a non-static, in the sense you have to create an object for the class inside the same class itself.
Right.
Okay, so that's the reason.
So,
So we will see that tomorrow, how
yeah,
to create it.
actually our line number 15 is public static void. Okay, so
Yeah.
if we made line number 5 as public integer instead of writing private and static, if we make it public, can we access it from through line number 15?
You want to remove this?
No, line number 5.
Line number 5. Okay.
Yeah,
What change?
Public integer. Remove private and
This one.
static.
This
No,
one you wanted to.
No, line number 5.
Okay, here you are
Yeah.
going to tell it,
Yeah,
right?
public.
If it is a public or private, that doesn't matter. Static is matters here.
So
As I told already, outside the class. Okay. So currently you are in the anonymous window, in the sense you are outside the class. Outside the class, public, private matters. Once you came inside the class, private, public doesn't matter. Here the static only matters.
Okay, so if in method I'm mentioning static, it is mandatory to mention static in line number 5 also.
Yeah, it is not mandatory. You have two ways. If it is a static, in the sense, one way you can access from a static method. Other way, you need to create object for the same class and you have to access it. Okay, so we can't say it as a mandatory, because other way is also there, right?
Right.
So let me stop share for a couple of minutes and I will 1 second.